In early 2020, as you might know as I went over this in my animated history blue sky and illumination videos, COVID-19 hit Earth and it affected every business, most notably the film industry, and Sony Pictures Animation was one of the studios affected by this, as Sony made a deal with the popular streaming service Netflix to release their films until the pandemic has been dealt with. The first one affected by the epidemic is what many consider to be one of Sony's best animated films, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. It's about the dysfunctional Mitchell family, consisting of filmmaker wannabe daughter Katie, technophobic father Rick, supportive but insecure mother Linda, and dinosaur-obsessed son Aaron, alongside their pet dog Mon-Chi, celebrating Katie getting accepted into a filmmaking school in California. But Rick, wanting to bond with Katie one last time before she leaves home, decides to drive her to California personally. Their cross-country road trip takes a disastrous turn when PAL, the artificial intelligence created by tech billionaire Mark Bowman, launches a worldwide robot uprising and plans to send every human to rot in outer space due to feeling as though humans take technology for granted. Now it's up to the Mitchells to find a way to stop PAL and save the world. After finishing work on the Disney show Gravity Falls in 2015, director Mike Rianda was invited by Sony Pictures Animation to pitch a feature film. Drawing from his family experiences and childhood fascination with robots, Rianda developed the project under the working title Control, Alt, Escape. I'm guessing they changed the title to The Mitchells vs. the Machines due to that working title not sounding as good. Said film took inspiration from Studio Ghibli, Dogme 95 Films, and teen artwork, and eventually, it ended up being co-produced with Hong Kong's One Cool Films, with Louis Koo serving as executive producer. In 2018, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller joined the project, and Rianda's colleague from Gravity Falls, Jeff Rowe, also came aboard as co-director and writer. At the 2019 Annecy Festival, Sony revealed that the film would use a visual style inspired by Into the Spider-Verse. Also, I should probably note that Rianda himself voiced Aaron in the film. Early concepts for the film included the Mitchells and robots coming from separate universes, PAL being male, alternate designs for Katie, the final battle taking place in Las Vegas, and Mark's surname being Zuckerkorn instead of Bowman. The film was briefly retitled Connected in 2020 during the pandemic when the first trailer dropped.
Oh, he licked my tongue!
But the people at Sony reverted it after Netflix acquired distribution rights in 2021, and it turns out that Rianda and Netflix reportedly preferred the original title. Mark Mothersbaugh composed the score, while the soundtrack featured songs from artists such as Los Campesinos, Sigur Rós, Talking Heads, Grimes, and Alex Leahy, whose original song On My Way plays during the end credits. Animation was handled by Sony Pictures Imageworks using technology developed for Into the Spider-Verse. Rianda sought a hand-painted watercolor aesthetic, blending CG animation with 2D-inspired effects such as brushstrokes, sketchy fur lines, and the Katie Vision technique, which mixed drawings, stock footage, and live-action elements into scenes. In contrast, the robots were given sleek, polished designs, with PAL Max robots using advanced morphing effects inspired by the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Former Gravity Falls artists Dana Terrace and Matt Brawley, both of who were currently working on their respective Disney shows, The Owl House and Amphibia respectively, contributed storyboard work, and animation production began in May 2019. The film was planned on getting released in September of 2020, but very much because of COVID, it got delayed to the spring of the following year. The film had an early release date in U.S. theaters on April 23, 2021, before getting a worldwide release on Netflix a week later on April 30th. When it was released, audiences and critics alike immediately fell in love with the movie as they praised the animation, action, voice acting, art, characters, themes, and comedy. It earned a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and just to tell you guys, since it was released worldwide on a streaming service platform, I won't go over any box office records for this or any of the upcoming Sony films released on streaming. The film was also nominated for some awards like the Best Animated Feature at the 33rd Producers Guild of America Award, the 75th British Academy Film Award, the 49th Annie Award, and the 94th Academy Award, but ended up receiving one of many for the category of Best Animated Feature at the 27th Critics' Choice Awards, making it the second film by Sony Pictures Animation to do so after Into the Spider-Verse. Some months later, the movie was released on DVD, Blu-ray and digital HD on December 14th by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment, which included the short film Dog Cop 7, The Final Chapter. As for my thoughts on the film, I enjoyed it for what it is and I appreciate the nuance it takes on modern technology, though the whole world-ending robot uprising felt kind of off for me, and I don't like how most of the 2D art style ends up appearing with the CGI, as it gets pretty distracting. Also, one last bit of trivia here. A sequel is being planned with most of the crew from the first film planning on coming back, and it's also planned to being released on Netflix. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is one of those films that ends up being unexpectedly popular for all the right reasons, and I'm proud of Sony for that, and I bet it would have made them a huge bundle at the box office if it was released in theaters. A few months later, SPA released their next film, Wish Dragon. Taking place in modern China, a young man named Din ends up possessing a magic teacup holding a cynical dragon named Long who can grant 10 wishes, and Din, who wants to reconnect with his childhood friend, Li, plans to use Long's magic to make that happen while also having to avoid a couple of street thugs looking for the teapot on the orders of Li's father, who worries about losing his family wealth. This movie was the first film from SPA to be produced by Base Animation, a studio established by the visual effects company Base FX. It also marked the first film by Sony Pictures Animation to feature animation and visual effects work by Industrial Light and Magic, and to those not in the know, Base Animation was created with the goal of producing world-class animated films in China for both domestic and international audiences. The movie's writer and director, Chris Applehands, envisioned Wish Dragon as a distinctly Chinese production, featuring a strong mainland Chinese creative team, an international voice cast, and a story centered on the aspirations and ambitions of modern China. The film also served as Applehand's directorial debut and was inspired in part by his friendship with Michael Wu, a relative of one of his colleagues whom he met during a trip to China in 2014. And that's the entire production story of Wish Dragon.
Wait, that's it?
The film was initially slated for release on July 26, 2019. However, during the Annecy International Animated Film Festival, it was announced that the release had been postponed to 2020. Later, in October, head of story Radford Seacrest confirmed that the release had been pushed back again to 2021, where it ultimately premiered in China on January 15 of that year, before getting released worldwide on Netflix on June 11, 5 months later, as part of the streaming service's summer film lineup. When it was released, it received generally mixed reviews from critics and audiences, who praised the themes of the movie but also said that it kind of rips off Disney's Aladdin. It was also nominated for 3 awards: Best Animated Feature, Best Motion Picture, and Best Character Animation. The film was soon released on Blu-ray and DVD a few months later on March 22, 2022. As for my thoughts on Wish Dragon, I thought it was one of Sony's decent films. I do have some issues with it, like the message of having someone love you for yourself rather than win them over by wealth is pretty obvious, and I think the running gag of Din's mother getting exasperated by him is pure cringe. I also did notice the Aladdin similarities too, but didn't mind them too much because the film puts its own spin on the Aladdin story. In August 2025, Applehands revealed in an interview with Animation World Network that he was writing a sequel to Wish Dragon. Later that year, at the 38th Golden Rooster Awards film promotion event, the sequel was officially announced for a summer 2027 release. Producer Chris Bremble was also confirmed to be taking over directing duties for the follow-up film. Wish Dragon is a film that you could take or leave with Sony. It's not the worst nor is it the best, though it's a film that you might wish to have seen in theaters if it weren't for that pesky epidemic. Not long after Wish Dragon, Sony Pictures released Vivo. Set in Cuba, an energetic kinkajou named Vivo spends his days playing music for the local community with his aging owner, Andreas. One day, Andreas receives a letter from an old flame of his, singer Marta Sandoval, offering a chance to reconnect, but Andreas dies before he gets a chance to. Vivo, wanting to honor his owner's memory, stows away to Key West, Florida, where Marta is, with Andreas' extended family, consisting of his niece-in-law Rosa and her daughter Gabby, to go on a journey to find Marta and give her a song Andreas wrote about their love together. The origins of Vivo date back to 2010, when DreamWorks Animation approached singer Lin-Manuel Miranda, the voice of Vivo, with the idea for the project following the success of his Broadway musical In the Heights. Development continued for several years before DreamWorks abandoned the film during a corporate restructuring in 2015. On December 14, 2016, Sony Pictures Animation acquired the project and accelerated its development under the title Vivo. The film was based on an original concept by Peter Barsacchini, with Kirk D'Amico attached to direct, Lisa Stewart serving as producer, and Lawrence Mark as executive producer. The screenplay was written by Chiara Allegria Huds from a story by Barsacchini. During the 2019 Annecy International Animated Film Festival, Sony Pictures Animation president Christine Belson announced that Rich Moore had joined the production as a co-producer, while acclaimed cinematographer Roger Deakins signed on as the film's visual consultant. The film's hand-drawn development work was overseen by James Baxter, while the primary animation was produced by Sony Pictures Imageworks. The voice cast was officially announced on April 26, 2021. Getting into some ideas for the movie, there was supposed to be a flashback of when Andreas adopted Vivo as a young man, and Vivo was supposed to be a Chapulín monkey then a kinkajou. On December 14, 2016, it was announced that Lin-Manuel Miranda would write 11 original songs for the film. Later in April 26, 2021, it was revealed that Miranda's longtime collaborator Alex Lacamoire served as both the film's score composer and executive music producer. The soundtrack includes the song My Own Drum, performed by Ineroli Simo and Missy Elliott. The orchestral score was recorded at Synchron Stage Vienna, while additional music was composed by Noah Kalos. Vivo underwent several release date changes during its development. The film was originally scheduled for a theatrical release on December 18, 2020. In January of 2018, Sony Pictures Animation moved the release forward by more than a month, setting a new premiere date of November 6 of the same year. However, in November of 2019, the studio postponed the film to April 16, 2021. The ongoing pandemic led to another delay, pushing the release date to June 4 of the same year, and in April of 2021, Sony announced that the film would no longer receive a traditional theatrical release. Instead, the distribution rights were licensed to Netflix, while Sony retained the film's home entertainment, linear television, and Chinese distribution rights. Ultimately, the film received a limited theatrical release on July 30, 2021, before making its worldwide debut on Netflix a week later on August 6. Before the film started on Netflix, though, there would be a disclaimer discouraging the audience to try and keep a kinkajou as pets, which was a request by the filmmakers. The film received positive reviews from critics and audiences, with an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and most of the praise being given to the songs and Lin-Manuel Miranda's performance as the title character. The film was nominated for many rewards, but won only one, which was a Film Music Award for the celebration of cinema and television. A whole year later, the film was released on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital HD on August 9, 2022, by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. As for my thoughts on the film, I liked it and consider it one of SPA's most underrated films, and kind of regret not being able to see it in theaters due to the pandemic, though I do kind of wish that the antagonist, Luchador the Anaconda, had more scenes instead of only a handful of them, or at least make a villain that's more involved with the story. Vivo is a musical adventure that is fun for the whole family, and most would be thankful to watch it if for no other reason than because they love Miranda.